Dear listeners, thank you for tuning in to our fabulous podcast. The current COVID restrictions limit our lineup of hosts and guests. As soon as possible, we will bring you the full diversity of queer voices from Brussels. In the meantime, stay safe and happy listening.
Today we talk about the impact of COVID. Since we recorded this podcast, a crowd-funded initiative called Pezdirc was launched to support the LGBTQI+ bars of Brussels. Go to the website growfunding.be to participate and surf to KET.Brussels for more information. Enjoy the podcast! Welcome to KET Talks, the podcast of KET Magazine. I am Philippe and I am your host, and I'm very happy because I'm not alone actually. Around this COVID-safe table we have Vincent, Bogat and Vjeran. So first of all, Vincent, you are our Frenchman and you investigate queer topics and love pop divas as much as chocolate. Welcome Vincent, how are you today?
I'm very good, thanks. Happy to be here.
So I have a question about the chocolate. White, milk or dark?
Well, I'm a purist, so I go for dark chocolate.
Same.
Boring.
Okay, talking about boring. Bogat, you are our Hungarian friend who loves reading and binge watching series, and with pussycat wigs, and you are often wearing big skirts. I don't see skirts, but I see a wig.
Yeah, I brought my favorite today, Susan.
Hello, Susan.
Well, we are happy to see you, Susan. Hey. And of course, we have our music queen, Vjeran. You are Croatian, passionate about electronic music, Lady Gaga and RuPaul. So it's also great having you here.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. So I see that everybody is happy, so I am happy. Okay, let's talk about today's main topic. It's a bit an eye-rolling one, I have to admit, but we have to talk about it. Covid-19. It's now almost a year that we are living with it, and I was wondering, how did we, queer people, go through this period? So, Vincent, you did, of course, some research. Can you tell more about how it affected our lives?
Yes, Philippe, as you said, the first cases of COVID were reported in China in November 2019, which is more than a year ago now. And since the 11th of March 2020, the World Health Organization has declared it a pandemic. And it's the moment, if you remember, this mid-March where confinement was imposed on almost everybody around this planet. And the borders closed. So the situation has been impacted a lot of people, almost everybody, with 2 million dead people now of COVID worldwide. But let's look at how it impacted specifically queer people. So these confinement measures first have been particularly harsh for some isolated queer people. I think, for example, about queer people that were confined in what we can call unfriendly environments, for example, with homophobic family members or in other contexts of harassment. And we know that queer people have already a tendency for isolation, which has been increased by social distancing and confinement, and that a lot of LGBTQI+ associations that usually provide help, support, and develop social connections were not able to function properly to address these issues. In terms of healthcare, we know that queer people are often more vulnerable in general, with less access to healthcare. And this means less access to treatment if infected by COVID, but also means less access to medication for STIs, for example. I think of people with HIV treatment, for example, that could have a restricted access, but also less access to treatments and surgery for trans people transitioning, which has been an issue. In terms of mental health, queer people are also more vulnerable, and the access to psychological support was even more limited than it is usually. If we move now to the LGBTQI+ community, of course, all social events that usually strengthen our community were cancelled. There was no pride festivals or parades since this beginning of the confinement, which is more than 220 parades and events cancelled. no festivals, film festivals, no exhibition, no sports events for our queer sports community. We, for example, in Europe, the Euro Games of Düsseldorf that were cancelled last summer. If we look at queer spaces now, of course, the associations that form the fabric of the queer community are endangered by the lack of revenues, actions, and the support that they usually have to bring money and to bring people to contribute. And bars and nightlife that had already been decreasing in the last years because of issues of financial sustainability are at higher risk now of not reopening and just disappearing. So of course this queer life has moved a bit online, and we'll talk about it. But I wanted also to strengthen that repression and blame of LGBTQI people has increased during the last year. Throughout history, pandemics have often been used to increase repression against queer people, following mainly the wrong interpretation of the story of Sodoma. It's not new. We find it under Emperor Justinian with pandemics that were attributed to queer people, which led to a strong repression at that time. We are in the 6th century. But also in Italian cities when the Black Death struck in Europe in the 1340s. And we see it today again with blame put on queer people for the pandemics in countries like Turkey or Ukraine, with the use of COVID measures and repression for COVID measures used against queer people, like it was the case in Uganda. Special powers taken by some leaders in case of crisis due to COVID that were used to pass laws against queer people, like we had in Hungary.
Which is crazy, it's European Union.
Yes,
it's
and
really sad.
we can also note, for example, a case of outbreak in Seoul in a gay club that was used also to put stigma on queer people in that country. And now we hear some religious leaders saying that the vaccine will convert or turn people gay. So this is the situation now. We must say that we also have queer people that haven't shown the example, let's say, during these pandemics. We have the case of the parties, for example, in Mexico at Puerto Vallarta, where even a gay party boat sank. For those following a little bit queer news, you might have seen it. And it started a whole polemics on Instagram with an account that is called Gays Over COVID that criticize gay men having parties. So yeah, it's a bit of an in-between here, and that's the situation for queer people in COVID, I would say.
So Bogat, how have you been living this year now?
Well, me personally, I felt, of course, it's a very different situation than the years before, and of course I miss my queer spaces. But as Vincent mentioned, for example, in my country, in Hungary, in March and in December, the Hungarian government accepted legislations against queer people. And of course, it's very sad to witness and to live through. So all of that anxiety and uncertainty that comes with the pandemics, all of that is doubled with this kind of blame and this kind of taking advantage on this situation. So it's really it was not easy, but the only thing that we can do is to look forward and try to make the best of it.
And not go to Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah. I think it's super important to mention that we find a middle way to take care our mental health, but also not to danger others. So we have to be very creative. And I think this year we showed with the online events that it is possible to still create queer spaces and bring people together while we are preserving our health and others.
Yeah.
Vjeran, have you been able to express your queerness with others?
Exactly what Bogat just started saying. First to say, there was a a gay water polo worldwide community that organized, nonetheless, but actual drag race over Zoom that became very popular during a pandemic. That everybody at this table actually participated in it, as we're also members of water polo team in Brussels, Mannequin Fish. It was initiated by Sydney Stingers and Toronto Triggerfish members, and it connected gay water polo teams and members from basically almost all continents in a very unique eleganza, extravaganza. We basically we did a drag race. We switched to our drag, competed in either solos, singles, couples, roommates, however people were already found confined. And over Zoom, we had something like Eurovision of drag, of gay water polo members, LGBT members as well. And yeah, we organized it once in April, once in May. The first time we didn't do a little scoreboard, and then the second time we even had a voting placing system where the two people sitting here next to me, Vinko, Vincent and Bogat, were famously robbed. Second after Paris.
Oh no, after Paris, that's possible.
Yeah.
The injustice, I would
But
say.
yeah, I just have to say it was like one way to feel like you're a part of a community, have fun, do it safely, enjoy yourself, do something fun. I mean, I turned myself into Mariah Carey. Was dancing and singing next to Whitney.
I can assume that there are some videos of that, and we will put it, of course, in the article on the website of KET. But Vincent, what about you? What did you do? Did you something really queer that you said, this was amazing?
Well, the most queer thing was what Vjeran just said, and I must say that I'm one of the lucky few that was able to enjoy maybe the only Pride that happened in 2020.
Yeah.
Because I was there down under with Bogat. We were there in Sydney in February, and we enjoy the Mardi Gras, which is the very big gay pride of Sydney. It was end of February. It was 2 weeks before the confinement, and we were very far from all of that at that time. We enjoyed it a lot. It was a wonderful experience, and then suddenly everything stops. What I tried to do is follow as many events as I could, and I participated in the Pride in Brussels. Actually, I went to some events that were organized when it was a little bit deconfined in September, which was very, very good, and also followed some online. So I managed also to keep some connection with some queer spaces, and also supporting our gay bars and restaurants when they were open, which is very, very important also to make sure that they keep being there when everything is under control again.
Yes, sadly, I think we have to be aware that there won't be a Pride in Brussels in May. Let's maybe hope they will do it in September. We'll see. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
And you were talking about the bars in the city center here in Brussels. Do you guys miss going out in the bars?
Oh, who doesn't? I mean, come on. Yeah, of course I miss going out. I mean, I miss going out to clubs, not only the gay clubs, but really to enjoy electronic music, to enjoy festivals. It is what it is. It's not like we're going to organize something that is illegal right now. Again, talking about Puerto Vallarta, that's not a way to handle the pandemic and not a way really to show face. But as soon as we'll be able to, I'll be very, very, very happy to go back to bars, to socialize, just to meet people that you wouldn't necessarily talk to and meet, and have this aspect of belonging to an outside of your smallest inner circle.
You also, Bogat, you miss it?
Yeah, but I really miss actually clubbing.
Yeah.
To go and dance till 7, 8 in the morning, and then just being wasted the day after, because it gave us energy, it gave us a lot of good feelings, and I really do miss that. But I really hope that the second part of the year, this year 2021, we are in 2021, yes, that we can experience this again, even though I think many people will, and including myself in this one, we will be a bit wary of how to connect again or reconnect with each other again, because I think there is this kind of paranoia that descends on all of us at certain times, and yeah, it's gonna be a new, different world of clubbing, going out, going to bars. It's not gonna be immediately the same as it was before COVID. So, and I think we have to prepare ourselves for that.
Yeah.
And I hear church bells, so I think this is a sign that it will happen soon.
Good.
So we talked about going out. I have another question, was a bit maybe daring. What about dating in COVID times?
Well, nobody's very into
Crickets.
answer.
You can
Crickets.
answer, but I know friends who.
No, it was a bit challenging. It was, to be honest, I in the first confinement I stopped all dating apps because it was more frustrating than anything else. So there was no point, there was no possibility, and it was not worth it. When the confinement was lifted, I think I was a bit careful also not to meet too many people and have selective dates, because
Selective dates meaning 100.
a good 10% of the regular. No, I mean I think everybody is reflecting on that, and it's as Bogat said earlier, keep people safe is a responsibility we all have. So it's not that there shouldn't be anything, but everybody has to be careful and care about others. So restrict himself in a way.
And what about the so-called lockdown parties? It's not only in the queer world; it's also with everyone. What's your opinion about those lockdown parties, so-called?
Well, we had a famous one in Brussels.
I was just about to say.
A queer lockdown party that made the news. But I think it's part of this. This maybe lack of responsibility. I mean, everybody's frustrated.
But I can say all the parties share the same thing, which is lack of responsibility. But it was very interesting to see how the media portrayed the different parties and how it was written. This now infamous gay party that was named immediately 25-man orgy, in which one of the Hungarian MEPs participated and then famously jumped over the window to escape the police. It was all over the news, and it was immediately gay orgy.
It was
25
world
men
news. It was
party.
on CNN.
Yeah, but the way it was talked about, you see gay immediately in the headline, and then there were also parties in Antwerp, and there was just 3 weeks ago.
And then they don't call it straight parties.
Exactly, and like 50 people caught on like a children's birthday. 50 people for a children's birthday? Come on.
Yeah.
Are you serious? I mean, the
Okay.
blame is on you as well.
Yeah.
On everybody.
Well, let's take now the big crystal ball and hope that after summer or in early fall, we'll be able to live back to normal, maybe a little bit in an open world. So what are the first things that you guys will do?
I think I will go to all the queer places I used to go, which means I'm looking forward to starting again our water polo practice, because this is a queer space.
At Brussels Gay Sports.
Yeah, it's a queer space that I've been missing a lot. But also the bars and restaurants, mainly to support them financially, because I'm afraid a lot of them will be in a very precarious situation. So I think it's also something we should all be doing, is to go back to the bars and restaurants.
Yeah, let's do that.
And support them
Yeah.
as much as we can.
They will not be able to kick us out in the end of the night.
I will
Take
lick the
my money.
surface of the bar.
Definitely I'm looking forward to have those open air parties where we can, it's very spacious, it's good weather, good music, so we can easily maintain some safety measures if it's still going to be necessary. And to go back to our queer spaces, restaurants, bars, even gay saunas. I'm really missing all those nice cruisy places.
Yeah, we need to see that rainbow village alive again, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm honestly hoping that sports games, Euro games in Copenhagen will take place in August.
It's mid-end August.
Yeah, the games in Düsseldorf were supposed to be my first gay games, so I was really looking forward to them. Once they were cancelled, of course, I was heartbroken. So I'm hoping that the 2021 will be my first KET Games.
Yeah. And maybe you will do things differently?
Oh yeah, certainly. I think it's this whole year and a half, 2 years, because I guess by the time we get back to our space, it's gonna be almost 2 years.
Incredible.
It won't be just deleted completely from our mind, and we always keep it in the back of our mind that we have to be careful and we have to keep some distance, and I'm sure also the masks will not disappear in a fortnight. So definitely it's going to be different, but we have to adapt, and that's it. That's what we have to do.
Yeah, I think we have to learn the lessons of what happened, and you know, we had a tendency to have less and less queer spaces, to move more online for dating, for whatever. And now I hope COVID makes us realize how important our queer spaces are to socialize, to meet with each other. So maybe we should also take this time to reflect on how our community was organized, how it was distributed in different spaces, and see how to make it stronger, more resilient to this kind of issues that might come back at some point. So maybe we still have a couple of months to think about that and see how we emerge from this crisis.
What we can do better.
So Brussels could become more than ever a queer, welcoming capital city.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, let's look forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
Bogat, no book on the table today, so I assume you will talk about a movie?
Yes, last week I was talking about a book that I've read already, and this week I was thinking maybe I'm gonna introduce something that I have not yet seen, but I'm quite excited about. So in the spirit of looking forward, I brought actually a movie called Your Name Engraved Herein. It's a Taiwanese film from director Patrick, I hope I will pronounce properly, Patrick Kuang-hui Lin.
Perfect.
So it was the highest grossing LGBT film in Taiwan's history, which shows that it's not just a success financially, but also amongst critics and amongst viewers. And the story takes us back to the 1980s. It's basically the end of the period of the martial laws in Taiwan. So we can see that the society is opening up, changing. However, it's a slow process. And the story of two young male students who meet in a high school, and their friendship is getting stronger and stronger, and they kind of realize that they are in love with each other. But of course, in this new environment, it's still very hard to tackle homophobia, family pressure, and just all the societal changes. So this is their story to find their happiness, find their path, and I'm quite excited to see it. Actually, everyone can, if you have subscription to Netflix, you can access it quite easily. Otherwise, just pirate it online.
I think I've seen that movie.
Yeah?
It's super sweet and
great.
a bit confronting.
Very well. Well, thanks for the extra recommendation. Yeah. And I also have a second one, which is a series. Yeah, you're very lucky today.
Wow.
It's a mini-series from Britain that is going to hit the screen in January on Channel 4 and later on in HBO Max.
Girl, you took my recommendation.
Oh well, but then I'm not gonna finish it.
Go ahead.
We keep social distancing.
And so it's called It's a Sin, and it's starring, for example, Ollie Alexander, who is the lead singer of the music band, The Years and Years.
Yep.
Neil Patrick Harris, that you can know from How I Met Your Mother, and my personal hero Stephen Fry as well, who is a comedian, writer, and he's a great personality. And maybe Vjeran can tell us about the story.
Thank you, Bogat. Thank you for this fantastic recommendation. I was gonna connect it actually with the song because Ollie Alexander, who is starring in the main role, he is the main singer of Years and Years, and he will be playing an 18-year-old who comes to London from the Isle of Wight and is struggling with coming out. But the whole story is about AIDS crisis in the 80s. And it's, I believe, like a miniseries, 4 or 5 episodes altogether. But the very interesting part is that the director, the creator, Russell T. Davies, casted only gay actors in gay roles, which is, I think, very important. And it's like gay actors actually playing themselves. So we're not doing things where we're doing.
I have another opinion, but
Yeah.
We have to discuss
it
this
can be another
topic.
topic.
It's gonna be another topic
yeah,
soon.
yeah.
I really, really support that, and I'm very happy that that's actually happening. You can also hear the song already before you watch the series. It's a Sin, the same name of story. It's actually the cover of Pet Shop Boys song of the same name. So yeah, you can hear Ollie Alexander singing the song "It's a Sin."
So what's the name of the series?
It's a sin.
Ah, good to know. Thank you, Bogat.
Well, you're very welcome.
We'll talk about music now with Vjeran, and I'm curious to hear your
Girl, you just heard it. You just
It's
heard
only
it.
this song?
No, we're gonna have one more.
Okay.
Another one.
Okay.
Cat to the kitty cat. Music. We recommend on top of Years and Years. It's a Sin. Listen to Hot Since '82, Jamie Jones, and no else but Culture Club's Boy George song Body Control. Again, an like house tune. Recommendation on top of, let's say, a popish music. It's very interesting. It mixes the topics of like 1982, which are the words that Boy George is singing. Because Hot Since '82, well, like the name says, he was born in '82, while Boy George, who is now collaborating with him, was already roaming London and living the best life as he sings Rolling in Spilled Beer, Maggie Thatcher, Paparazzi, and it gives you like the idea of how '80s felt like in London and in UK. And at the same time also touches like upon LGBTQ topic, boys kissing boys, girls kissing girls, girls kissing boy, everybody kissing everyone and nobody cares. And it makes you think that maybe we're a bit harder and more radical now than we were actually in the 80s, when people really didn't care, and when Boy George wore makeup and skirts, and David Bowie was, well, doing the same, wearing makeup and wore skirts. Yeah, it makes me think of how the world looked like, queer world looked like before I was even born.
Okay. Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, those two songs, you will find them, of course, on Vjeran's playlist on Spotify.
Yep.
Well, we are at the end of the second episode of KET Talks. I know, and I just wanted to say a big thank you to Visit Brussels for supporting our magazine and podcast, and of course to you, Vincent, Vjeran, Bogat. It's always a pleasure spending time with you.
Well, it's
I
a
know,
pleasure
right?
for us.
Yeah, so I hope you who are listening to us, you had a good time too. Don't hesitate to visit the website ket.brussels to discover the latest articles on queer life in Brussels and in the world. So you can also follow our Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, YouTube accounts. You find those links on the website. So bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.